Nick Hernandez.
And I'm Holly McClure.
And this is Faith Oin Film, a program designed to keep you aware and informed on everything that's happening in the world of faith and family entertainment. And Holly, we have got a great show today, don't we?
We do. I'm so excited.
Yeah, the reason I'm saying that, by the way, is because we're going to give our viewers a glimpse into The Chosen Season 3. Now, in my opinion, The Chosen, of course, is one of the best television shows there is, but I'm maybe a little biased. I don't know. I know that you recently visited the set of The Chosen, and you brought back a lot of behind-the-scenes footage and interviews, and we're just so excited to share those exclusively here on Faith Oin Film.
Yes, we are. And I can't wait to share with you what I saw, who I interviewed. It's going to take a few shows to actually show you all of it, so it won't be just today. But you can see it in theaters for those of you who are anxious to see season 3. They're going to have the first and second episode on November 18th. You can see it in theaters, and they're only going to have it for one day. It's a Fathom event. So check the website for your local theater near you. And if you've never seen it, you're going to love it on the big screen. And if you have, take a friend or family member who won't watch it on the app, who won't go see it. They're like, yeah, well, I don't want to see that on TV. Well, if they like movies, take them because they're going to love it.
There you go. There you go. Now, of course, people may not know this, but the Chosen series is basically the first multi-season series on the life of Jesus that's ever been produced. This is season 3, but I understand they have like 7 seasons planned. Of course, season 1 and 2 have been watched over 400 million times. I myself just binged on season 2 just this week because I wanted to be ready for season 3. From what I understand, it's been watched over 400 million times, and it's been translated into 50 languages. My goodness, that's amazing.
It really is. And for those who haven't watched The Chosen, again, download the app. Okay, watch it for free. Now, this is season 1 and 2. And then after it premieres on November 18th, you can watch it for free again because they're going to start it up again in December. And you can watch it and stay caught up and stay with it. And season 3 is opening on November 18th. Again, we want to make really sure that you go ahead and either book tickets ahead of time online. Since it's a Fathom event, it's probably going to sell out at a theater near you. But help support them by asking friends and people to come. Okay, let's take a look at season 3. Now, on the first of the interviews that we're going to feature is Jonathan Roumie, who plays Jesus, Elizabeth Tabish, who plays Mary, and everyone's favorite, Paris Patel, who plays Matthew. And they're in the first part of season 3. That's who we're going to interview today. And it also will take a look at the feeding of the 5,000. Okay, this will be in the first episode, so you want to see how they did behind the scenes. And I went to Midlothian, Texas, and had a chance to look at the new Chosen sets. And we're going to give you the exclusive first look at that.
All right, let's go right on to it.
You look troubled.
I am.
You're losing something. I know what that's like.
What are you losing?
Time.
I say to you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you.
Someone touched me.
If you are really the one who is to come, should we look for someone else?
Go and tell John what you hear and see.
Who is it? Why did we stop?
It's him.
I'm Judas of Keriot.
I have chosen you 12 as my apostles.
Don't feel any different?
I don't need you to feel anything to do great things.
What is stirring in your hearts? In the middle of such division and unrest, is Father God being revealed to you? Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest.
A scourge of false prophecy must stop.
Jesus, if you do not renounce your words, we will have no choice but to follow the law of Moses.
I am the law of Moses.
They're here for Jesus of Nazareth.
More valuable than gold, more precious than rubies.
Force them out. We are still Rome.
Everyone then who hears these words of mine and does them will be like a wise man who built his house on the rock.
I'm the one who caused their hunger. I should be the one to feed them.
He who has ears to hear, let him hear.
Hey there, I'm Dallas, creator of The Chosen, and I just wanted to tell you real quick that episodes 1 and 2 of season 3 launch in theaters November 18th. Yes, theaters, before coming to The Chosen app along with the rest of the season. And if you're not caught up, please be sure to watch seasons 1 and 2 by looking up The Chosen in the App Store or your streaming device.
I think one of the things I'm most excited about this season is people having the opportunity to see this story on the big screen. I think it's a story that deserves the biggest screen possible. I think there are so many artisans that go into crafting this story that it should be seen by as many people possible in the biggest format possible, because you get a much greater impact when you're just surrounded by the images, the visuals, and the audio. And I think it deserves it. I think, like any great Bible epic, this show deserves it. So I really want to encourage people to spend the bucks, the couple of bucks to go to the movie theater, support the show, help us to keep telling this in as grand a way as we can, by seeing it in the theater, knowing that eventually it's in the app, it's for free forever, but it means so much to us as performers to be a part of this medium, telling this story in particular, to see it in a way that I think it deserves to be seen. The depth that we go with the characters this season, the scope of the show, everything gets exponentially expansive and more, even more relatable, even more personal, even more intimate, even more painful at times, even more spectacular looking. Everything about the show this season is just amped up.
I think it's different from other biblical shows because it is so realistic and delves more into the actual culture and troubles of the time. And it's not sanitized. It's not polite always. It's, a lot of other biblical shows, everything's sort of like one-dimensional and proper and almost like Shakespearean. Or just stoic, and it loses the sort of human element that I think The Chosen completely embraces, of like all of these characters that are deeply flawed and have messy lives, and show how Jesus transforms that instead of everything being sort of already perfect. There are more female characters that are on for a longer period of time, so I've been able to connect more with the other actresses and hang out and really get to know each other better. And it's been nice to feel like, there's a sisterhood forming on set, that we're helping each other even through, talking about the scenes or talking about the emotions from the scenes. And it's been hard. I think a lot of these scenes for the women this season are hard and really emotionally challenging. And so I think we've all been able to be there for each other and share advice or share, support.
What makes The Chosen so different is that it is very inclusive and it embraces diversity. It invites others to come and see, if you will. That's so cheesy, but I mean it, because it's like, this show just represents so many of us that are seeking representation, seeking guidance, or just kind of feeling hope. I didn't think that, this tax collector could have been shunned by his family and an outcast in society. And, the greatest gift that this show has given me is to portray Matthew on the spectrum. And that has allowed so many people to just connect, not even just me being a South Asian. You have people who are on the spectrum finally seeing themselves on something global. And you don't know how, I, for one, speaking on my background, it means so much to me when I see others on TV growing up, and I never got that. So for other people out there to see that, it's so inspiring. And that's what makes this show so special and continues to make it special, because we know that people need to feel valued and to connect to good content and feel heard and seen.
Filming the feeding of the 5,000 was nothing short of epic. It was an epic attempt and a success in capturing a moment in history that has never been done this way before. And I remember standing there in the midst of the crowd as people were getting fed, and you had all the different disciples passing out food. And I remember looking and just seeing one disciple, and then 100 people rows later, another disciple, and then another 100 rows, another disciple. And this just sort of deep focus sort of racking to the background, and thinking to myself, like, what must Jesus have been thinking to himself when he saw this happening?
Wow. Of course, the feeding of the 5,000 is really a great miracle that happened, that we read about in the Bible. But from what I understand, I think maybe there was an even bigger miracle at the shooting of this scene, because I've heard that a few more people than 5,000 came by and to film the scene of the feeding of the 5,000, and they all paid their own way to come. So it looks like season 3 is going to be one epic series, isn't it?
It's going to be epic. Do you know, Isaac, there was actually 12,000 people. 12,000 that came over a couple of days to film that scene. And for those of you who don't know, because believe me, I was at Capernaum, so I can testify to this. Mm-hmm. Texas is hot in the summer.
Oh, yeah.
And they were outdoors all day long. There were people that had heat, strokes and overheated, and they had to supply water and food. And it was a major production to get this thing filmed. So we're going to give you a little taste of it now. But believe me, you can't appreciate what these people went through, and these costumes that they made themselves and brought themselves, these hot costumes that they wore in that hot sun.
So they even made their own costumes.
Made their own costumes in all ages. There was kids there from 3 to 5 to 95. All ages showed up for this.
Oh, wow. Well, so you also, of course, have a lot of behind-the-scenes footage of what, the set and the scenery there. Should we take a look at that?
Let's take a look.
Holly, that's right, and it takes a team to bring it together, but God gave it to one special person who took the vision and ran with it. People may not know who that mastermind behind The Chosen is. Well, those who've watched it probably do, but for those who haven't watched, they might not. So let's talk about Dallas Jenkins for a minute.
Oh, I think we should, Isaac. I've known Dallas for over 20 years, and I remember the book that Left Behind that his father, Jerry Jenkins, co-wrote with Tim LaHaye. Well, his son, Dallas Jenkins, that's his son, has carried on his father's legacy for creating really life-changing, kingdom-changing entertainment. I remember when at 25, Dallas produced his first film, Hometown Legend, because I reviewed that, and I was on his red carpet for that, so I reviewed it and talked to him then. And then I worked worked on a film that he did called Midnight Clear in Roanoke, Texas, in about 2005. It starred Stephen Baldwin. So for over 20 years, I've known Dallas. I've seen what he's directed and produced, and I'm so proud of him.
Yeah, in fact, there's a movie that he did, which was the last movie he did right before The Chosen, and it was the film The Resurrection of Gavin Stone. And I got to tell you, I love that movie, and I want to recommend to people right now, go find it. I know it's streaming. I believe it's on Netflix. Go find it, The Resurrection of Gavin Stone. I remember that it didn't do well in the theaters, and that kind of made Dallas a little kind of wondering whether he should even continue doing films. I remember he wrote stuff on Facebook, and I responded to him and just kind of encouraged him, as well as a lot of other people. But I guess little did he know that actually that was going to catapult him into what is now the largest crowdfunding media project of all time, a multi-season series about the life of Jesus. He's not only the writer, he's the director, he's the producer, he's really the creator of what has become just a huge mega hit across the world.
It has. He's inspiring not only his age generation in the 40s and 30s and 40s, but the younger generation. They're getting kids and teenagers who maybe never would go to church or never read the Bible. He's getting them involved in it. And just watching Dallas, okay, remember, he's writing it for the few months it's not filming, and then he's producing it, getting it scripted, getting it ready. And then he's not only producing this, but directing it. So he is behind the camera listening to every word. You can see him in some of these films, see right there, like he's pointing directions and how it should be lit. And you know, because he's worked with several films, he's got a real good sense of what the actors, you know, want to do and what you need to do. And I love it. I just love it that he is bringing humanity to these characters. He's bringing they're human beings to people. Like Patel said, Paris Patel said,
yes.
You know, for him as a young kid, he never saw people that look like him on camera. Well, now he's playing someone who has Asperger's, they say, you know, kind of syndrome. Mm-hmm. And so the people that even have disabilities and things are relating with his characters. You know, women, married people are relating to his characters with Peter and his wife. Single women are relating to it. You know, men who want a career and be better, brothers. It's got everything that appeals to all different ages.
Yeah, and you know, one thing that I was telling my wife that I really love about this is the fact that we can see personalities of the various, you know, apostles, the various people really that were around Jesus. Because when you read it in the Bible, I mean, you read of the things they did perhaps, but that's it. There's you don't get a sense of their personalities, and so he gave them personalities that just made them people that I could relate to. It's very exciting to see what he's done with the characters. And yeah, my favorite, of course, is Matthew. I got to admit that for some reason I just loved what the way he's portraying that character with Asperger's.
People love him. I mean, I talked to different people about this show, and they just love him. They think it's so good. And I'm glad we got to show people what goes on. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. And I had a chance to go to Midlothian and tour the studio. Now, again, I work for Capernaum. Capernaum is where season 1 was filmed. So if you watch season 1, you're going to see where I work at the studio and in the village that we have, which is where all that was filmed. And then part of season 3, a little bit of season 3. But I got a chance this last summer to go out to Midlothian and take a look at their new studio, and it is a whole different world. It takes it to the next level.
How come you're having all the fun? All right. Let's take a look at that.
This is exciting because we're getting ready to go in to see the set. They've just finished Capernaum. We're going to talk to the guys who actually built it and designed it. So this will be interesting.
The inside of this building is Andrew's home. On the other side of the building is Andrew's exterior. As we're going through the city, you'll be able to see how the different stone types are on one side of the street, different from the other side of the street. So we'll be able to just basically replace our cast in a scene. We're shooting one way, we're one place. We turn around, we're shooting, we're in another place. So that way we can get through the days as quick as possible, get as much footage as we possibly can, because that's the end game, is to get it all in the can, get it to post so we can get it to the fans. And so as we're going through, we'll show you some of the interiors and activities right here.
had the ability to make food on a grand scale, so a lot of people would eat on the streets. And so this is an actual replica from Pompeii, one that they just unearthed a year or so ago. And so we wanted to put one in the city, again, as an educational aspect, which is this whole city will be turned over to the Salvation Army, and so they have camps for kids, and so that's where a good portion of this will be going to is the children that come here, and so which makes us excited as educators.
And as James was saying in the front, how this is a Roman-occupied city, so they fortify it, and then as you can see at the very end, that's the synagogue. Synagogue would be at the highest point of the city, and that's where they would send all the women and children to protect themselves in case there was an attack on the city. And so there's gates and everything there, and then they would fortify from here and protect.
We're going to go this way. You'll see we have stables, Roman stables on each side. This is where the farriers would be. Over here is we have another educational part, is the blacksmith. Every town would have a blacksmith where they would make weapons and horseshoes and everything else in between. And we can't talk about, but we had to add. But the great thing about it is this set we'll get to use all the way to the end. So this is a part of Jerusalem, and those are gates that we took from some city in Rome, I can't remember. And beyond that is a garden, which eventually will become the Garden of Gethsemane, which is an olive grove. So we're going to be building large old olive trees in there. The Garden of Gethsemane was actually an olive press, and so which is kind of reminiscent of when Jesus was praying, he was being pressed. He got pressed 3 times, which happens to every olive press. There's the first press, which is the cleanest press, which goes to the synagogue. And then the next one is used for food, and the third one would be used for oil lamps. So each one, like Jesus went back and prayed 3 times. He was pressed, he sweated great drops of blood. So there's lots of symbolism there, even within the Garden of Gethsemane. So eventually that will become that, but this season it won't. We just have too much to do.
As you can see, this is the tax collector's booth, just like the one we have at Capernaum Studios, but a little bit more elaborate. Take a look. Thanks. Thanks, Melanie. Behind is the temple that they're building, and this is going to be where Jesus is going to be tried. And of course, that's going to be towards the end of the seasons, but they built it right now so that they can do a lot in there with the Sanhedrin, with the living water, which of course is emblematic. So he explained how it's really important for different things in this temple that they're going to use all the way through to the very end. So very important part that they're finishing it. We couldn't go in, but they're working on it. But it's amazing to see the temple where Jesus will be tried. We've entered a little different area actually, because we were in more of the Roman area. Now we're coming into more of the Jerusalem, and the area where actually we're going to see more of the disciples where they lived, and actually some scenes that are going to be very familiar from Capernaum Studio in season 1. So, but beautiful what they've done with the architecture and the structure here. It's amazing. So we're getting ready to tour the village. It's funny because they actually have recreated on this set the set from Capernaum Studios, and so that they can continue filling some of the storyline, like the house that's been used for so many things, and even lowering the body down through the roof. This one was used for several things, for the wedding and other things. So it's interesting to see these here, as well as the tax collector booth, being recreated from the Capernaum set, because they're going to continue the storyline.
And so we're going to repaint it and it's the backdrop to Caiaphas's chair. So it'll be kind of a really ornate kind of fun look.
And you said that the temple that you're building right now, that's going to be permanent for all the seasons.
Correct.
You're going to use
so it's a permanent installation, so it'll always be there even when they open this up to the public. So it'll be one of those permanent sets that everybody will get to see.
If you can get us talking, can you get this way? Get in front of us. No, Colin, you get this. I just want to ask one more question. If you don't mind, I'm sorry. I'm just like, here, go here. I'm sorry, not trying to direct, but I just want to have that behind. Okay, so you were saying that for this is going to be the Garden of Gethsemane. And so eventually you'll build a garden out, obviously.
Olive trees and everything, because it was an actual olive press. So we need to have olive trees for that, which is a big, huge symbolic part of the story of the garden itself.
Right.
And beyond that, you guys can kind of see the tip of the synagogue, which is, and the interior of it we have the Sanhedrin, which is where Jesus' trial will take place. And so that's another set that we were able to put here that they don't have in Goshen, Utah, that we can use for the seasons to come.
What were you talking about, the living water earlier? We missed it.
So inside, underneath that little dome right there is a mikveh, and every synagogue would have a mikveh. And people would go into the mikveh before they would go in and cleanse themselves. They'd go down one side dirty and come up the other side clean. And there was always running water through there. And so it was called living water, which refers to Jesus as living water who washes our sins away too. So
I love that.
Great symbolism, and which is why we need to know Jewish culture, because it opens up so many things just even in our own faith. So.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you for that.
You know, Isaac, I'm curious. You said you watched season 1 and 2, and you just watched it in preparation for this new season 3. What was your favorite scene, if you have one, or what is the one you remember most out of season 1 or 2?
Well, actually, I think one that really touched me was the very end of season 2, because it really, I love how Dallas made Jesus very human to me. You know, Jesus was nervous about the sermon that he was about to preach. Jesus reached out to somebody, to Matthew, to help him kind of prepare it and know kind of how to change it and what to do. And I thought that was pretty cool, you know. But then when he came out and he saw the people out there and just the multitudes, the 5,000, which of course was 12 in reality here, but the 5,000, and just, I mean, you could see it on his face that this was almost a something that he was not expecting. So that really touched me. And one thing it did do was it made me say, oh, I want to see the rest. I want to see the rest, which of course is season 3, apparently.
Of course it is. You know, what was funny for me is to see Jonathan Roumie talk about, you know, in that suit and that tie. And I'm thinking, hey, that's how Jesus would look if he was here today. He would have that kind of look in his suit and tie. I was sitting there watching that movie with Jesus look the whole time. I tell you, I'm excited for season 3, but I'm still excited to show everybody what we've got. So we're going to do another show.
There's so much more.
There's so much more. I've got more interviews with all of the stars. I've got more behind the scenes look footage where they explain things and show you things. It's going to be really cool, and you're going to want to see it. It's fun. It's a lot to look and get excited about. Coming up for November 18th, Fathom event. Remember, get your tickets ahead of time so you won't get there and show up and won't be able to get in, and support it with friends and family, because this is definitely something that needs to be seen and shared with all.
Absolutely. Well, we've run out of time today, but we've got next week to show a lot more. But folks, don't forget, if you want to write us at faithonfilmtv@gmail.com. That's faithonfilmtv@gmail.com. And you can always follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Faith on Film TV. And check out our YouTube channel. It's very simple now. They just gave us new handles, if you will. You can just go to youtube.com/@faithonfilmtv, and boom, you'll get to see there. And of course, subscribe so that you will always know what's coming up next.
That means hit the button.
Hit the button. All right, folks. See you next week for more of The Chosen Season 3.